Welcome back to another episode of Swim Stories Unplugged. Today's guest is someone who has truly lived and breathed swimming for over 25 years. She is not only a dedicated swimmer, but also a content creator, USMS Ambassador, and the LMSC Chair on the Ohio State Board. Her journey has taken her from local pools to the Pan Am Aquatic Championship Mastership in Medellín, all the way to experiencing the thrill of the Tokyo Olympics. Along the way, she's built community, shared her love for the sport, and inspired swimmers across generations. In this conversation, we dive into where it all started, what she's learned along the way, and where her journey is headed in the next few years. Is one you don't want to miss. Without further ado, let's welcome Caitlin Gagnon. So, welcome, Caitlin, to Swim Stories Unplugged. I'm so thrilled you are taking this opportunity to meet with me today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, so we're going to get right into it, and I'm going to ask you. Our first segment is First Splash. So, which means tell us about the first memory or the first time that you went into the water. If it was different, tell us both. And if it was just one, tell us the story.
I don't remember being put in the water because my mom was very big on water safety.
Okay.
And so I was in swim lessons. I was in Mommy and Me swim lessons where she's holding you. I did swim lessons constantly. And at the time we lived in Massachusetts, so we were near an ocean. And so it was just super important to her that I be safe around water. She was very passionate about that.
Okay. So you don't remember, but do you remember, were you swimming throughout when you were a child, or did you join as an adult?
Yeah, so I was probably 6 months old when she first, you can hear my dog squeaking probably, but I was probably 6 months old when she put me in swim lessons. And then I just never stopped. The reason I ended up on the swim team is because they had put me in swim lessons all the way through, and I was at like the top level or the second highest level of swim lessons. And we were living in Detroit at the time, and swimming was a little cheaper there than it is here in Cincinnati. And my dad did the math hourly, and it was cheaper hourly for him to put me on the swim team than it was for me to be in swim lessons. So they just threw me in the water on the swim team.
Oh, that's exciting. Like, whatever the reason was, like, you were in the water.
Exactly, because he broke it down. Ever the engineer, he broke it down hourly and said, all right, well, it's cheaper hourly, so you're going to do that.
Sounds like a plan. And then I love how you, the reason of how you were into the water. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the swim team, right?
Yeah.
So tell me more about how life was when you were in the swim team, what strokes you did, and maybe if there was a coach, how did all that go?
Yeah, so I was 6 years old. I was very cute. I tried to quit on the first day. And my parents said, no, you can't quit on the first day. And to this day, that was in 2000. To this day, I always go, well, you told me I couldn't quit, so I'm still going.
Right.
And they go, that's not what we meant, Caitlin. But I wasn't in it to compete until I was like 10. I really was there for this. So I was always chatting behind the blocks with girls from other teams. I was there to hang out. I'm like, yes, I did every single thing that the coaches told me to do. I was a very literal child. I was doing exactly what they said to do. But also I didn't have a lot of competitive drive. So, I mean, as a 6 and under, you don't need that. But
Sure.
they also, at the end of the year banquet, would always say something about like, oh, this is Caitlin. She has a very pretty backstroke. She has, she's not going very fast, but she's really perfected, And so, but they taught us all 4 strokes. We had to be able to do all 4 strokes, and it was really fun. And I had all my little friends. It was really cute.
That's nice. So I want to say you're still cute.
Thank you.
And I want to ask you, did you have a favorite stroke back then, or something that you were good at or you wanted to pursue at that age?
Starting off, I loved backstroke, but I was bigger than a lot of the other kids. Like I was just taller. And so I got stronger sooner and I could do fly. And that has honestly been the entire story of my swimming career, is that I can do a lot of fly. And so at a pretty young age, I was doing butterfly just because I was the only one who could do it. And so they would put me in the 50 fly, which, at 8 years old, it's a long way to go.
Sure.
And so I ended up doing a lot of fly just because I was big enough to do it. And it felt kind of important. Like I'm the one who
can do the butterfly. That's exciting. So did you always love butterfly, or have you always
it was my ticket to doing more things. It was my ticket to being on the relay. It was the first thing. So around here in Southwest Ohio, I think the names have changed, but A championships was for everybody. And then you qualified for AA championships. And my first AA championship cut when I was 10 was in the 50 butterfly. And so it was like the thing I qualified for. And then it was the thing that got me on relays. And so for me, it was the cool thing. It was the thing that got me to college because I'd swim the 2 fly. Not
right.
The 2 fly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So you went about college, right? So between 6 to the age of high school, were you always a part of the swim team?
Yeah, I've actually never stopped because I didn't take a break after college. So 25 years straight, not all with the same team because we moved around. I had a coaching change in middle school that brought me to the team that I'm still with today.
Okay.
And so, but it was a good shift because it was at the age where I was starting to want to get competitive. And I've always been, I call myself the slowest of the fast. Like I'll qualify for the meet, but I might be the slowest one there.
Right.
The big meet. And I made it.
Right. Yeah.
Finals. Like
yeah. Those, I feel like even those little moments are like, worth celebrating because
exactly. Like I was there.
Yeah.
I didn't win anything, but I was there.
You were there, yeah. That's equally important. I love that spirit. And what about the other strokes? I know you you have love the butterfly, and it gave you through the path. What about other strokes? Did you enjoy doing other strokes, or did you also do other strokes while you were in addition to butterfly, or did you just stick to butterfly?
I hammer too, because I'm not a standout really at anything, so everything is super average. So when you put it all together, it makes a pretty good IM.
Okay.
Yeah. So and because of that whole endurance fly thing, fly at the beginning didn't wear me out, and so I was able to do the 400 IM pretty young too. So I probably 13 was my first 400 IM, because I had just switched to that team that was, not that my previous team wasn't competitive, but I knew at 10 that I wanted to swim in college, and I didn't really know what the path was. So when I switched to my current team at 13, there was a clear path, and there was always kind of an expectation there that like our swimmers go on to swim in college. It wasn't pressure. It was like, this is the next step. You will continue.
Right.
And
That's
so, which I
like
really,
an expectation.
yeah, it was definitely an expectation. And now that they have a master's division, which they didn't have when I was in high school, it's kind of like a forever, like, you'll do this forever kind of thing. Sometimes they call the kids future masters.
Oh, interesting.
I think it's so cute.
That's really cute.
Yeah, so switching at that age, when I was starting to, like, you're getting into high school, you're starting to look at colleges. I knew I wanted to swim. I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to go and that they had a swim team. And so going to a team that let me see that clear path. And on every break, there were kids coming back from college and coming back to swim with the team. They did a really good job of helping me figure out how to get there.
Okay. So now, since you've been swimming all your life, most of your life, what would you say has been the transition that has happened from the sport of swimming into your life, either like, mentally, physically, emotionally, any of those helpfulness or challenges that you faced?
Yeah, I think I had like a really big transition in 2022. I'd been swimming masters for a while. I don't know. I started in 2016. I had moved away from my team. I'd moved like 40 minutes up the road for a job, which was just a little bit too far for me to go back every day for practice. So I swam with the university's club team, which was interesting. I'd never experienced university club swimming, like college club swimming. But I kind of didn't do any weights. I didn't do any dry land. I was just doing college club swimming practices, and maybe a little bit extra on my own. But I wasn't really pushing myself. And so in the spring, I had the worst nationals of my life. It was so bad. And I was like, I have to quit. This is terrible. I'm not having fun anymore. I shouldn't do this anymore. But I had just joined the board for the Ohio LMSC and gone to the first conference that they had for USMS volunteers. And so I was like, I can't quit. Like, I just became the board chair. Like, I can't do that. That would be terrible.
Right.
So I was talking to one of my oldest friends who I grew up swimming with, and he had just wrapped up his professional swimming career. And he said, look, you cannot just do more of what you've been doing. You can do something different.
Sure.
You can do less. But you cannot do more of the same thing. So I said, fine. So I talked to a coach that I had kind of talked to a little bit over Instagram, and I said, all right, what should I do? And I'm still working with him. He has revolutionized how I view myself as an athlete. I went to my first international masters meet that year. I did amazing. And so 2022, just like, even just that 4 months between almost quitting and then going to that international meet, I went to Pan Am's in Medellín. And it changed because I was swimming on my own, but I had a coach that was writing workouts just for me. He was writing lifting workouts just for me. He was keeping track of my nutrition. I really started to view myself as an athlete. And that's kind of how I view myself now, is it's training. Like, I don't just think of it like I'm going to swim practice or whatever. Like, I'm training. Right. So it really has changed how I view, which is crazy because I was 22 years into my swimming career. And now totally new mindset. I'm like, dang, I wish I'd had this guy years ago. Like, because it really, and just swimming, and I was swimming next to the university's varsity team when I was swimming by myself. And so like seeing how they trained and like just thinking of it as training really changed everything for me.
Wow. That sounds like you had like a whole shift right there from like, making sure you're doing like, doing dry land and everything. So right now, when you are like training for like, for dry land and nutrition and everything, when you're watching all your meals and everything, do you always have times when you are like on top of it with everything?
No.
Or do you?
So, for example, right now, this
Mhm.
week is my first week back from a mess around break. So after nationals, I said, I need like 3 weeks to just not care.
Right.
Because I was getting a little bit burnt out, especially on the nutrition part over the summer. And I was like, I just do not feel like hitting these macros, and I could feel that I didn't, when I was swimming at long course nationals, I could feel that I didn't really do my nutrition very well this summer. So I was like, you know what, I think I need a mental break from that. So I took 3 weeks and just said, I'm gonna eat Cheez-Its for every meal.
Yeah.
And now I have to get back on the horse, but
Yeah.
fine.
That's fine too. Yeah, of course. Like, we all, as humanly possible, we try to make sure we do whatever the best we can and what is most needed for us. So
Yeah.
you are on the Ohio board, you said, right? So can you tell me about your experiences being on the board and how that was and how you managed being on the board as well as being a swimmer?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's so fun. And honestly, most of my friends now, like most of my really good friends, are other volunteers from other LMSCs, because we have, I hope they also consider me a really good friend, or this will come out and be really embarrassing. Because we have like conferences and stuff where we
Sure.
work and we hang out and we have a pool party and we do karaoke and we trade stickers. And so that's where I've made so many of my friends. And I was kind of voluntold to be on the board. We were missing like 3 required positions. So the previous board president called me and said, we have these 3 positions open. There's 3 of you I'm calling. So I was like, sure, I'll do, whatever the other people don't want to do. And it was board chair, treasurer, and secretary. And he called me like 20 minutes later and he was like, congrats, you're the board chair, because they didn't want to do it. So, but I've made a lot of new friends with that. It's been great. So it's fine. But it's not a huge time commitment. For me, it's probably 5 hours a month, although I keep saying yes to things, so now it's more. That part is probably 5 hours a month.
Yeah.
And then I've volunteered to be on some national committees. So, the awards committee is definitely the most fun one, and we're not biased at all.
Nice. Yeah.
So, but it's fun. We get to give people awards for their hard work, and that's really neat. So I think it sounds really official and stuffy being on a board. It's so much fun. I've met so many people. And I think just kind of getting to know the inner workings of US Masters swimming has been really cool, because I've never been involved with a national governing body before. And so that's just very interesting to me to see how it all works and how national meets come together and how local meets come together. So, because when you're just the athlete and you just show up, or like when you're a kid, you just show up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coach says that be there 15 minutes before warm up and you're just there.
All right.
There's so much more that goes into sanctioning and records and top 10 times and all this stuff. And even as the board chair, like I just kind of organize and communicate a little bit, but the inner workings of what the sanctions chair does,
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. It's like Greek to me. I definitely could not do that position. He's very organized. Yeah, it's just really interesting to see those inner workings.
That's really, I'm getting to understand a different world of swimming here, which feels
Yeah.
like a completely, like, I know like officials because I've seen them at local meets and national meets, but I didn't know there was something like a board. I mean, treasurer I get, and
Yeah.
the secretary I get, but like, I didn't know there was something like a board chair and what you would do and everything. So that's really cool to hear. I'm
It's
sure.
And we've gotten to do some really, so like, I was like, fine, I'll be the board chair, but I'm going to bring back the state meet. We hadn't had a state championship since I was like 13. And so that was my goal. That was my one goal. I didn't really care what else we did, but we were going to bring back the state meet. So we had our first state meet in ages at Ohio State last year. And it was so fun. We had Ohio Splash was the team host, and they can take a theme and run with it. I decided on rubber ducks for the theme. They ran with it. It was amazing.
Hey, that's interesting. I didn't know you could have themes like that. And I don't know if New Jersey has a state, like, the state meet that you're calling right now. So
you have a colonies zone meet? I don't
okay.
know state championship. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, like, so when you are a board chair, do you meet with the other state board chairs?
Yeah, so we have a conference in the fall. It's called Relay, and it's a couple weeks or maybe 6 weeks after the annual meeting. And go and we have workshops on, one year was about investing into clubs. One year was about external recruitment, so like bringing more people into swimming in general. I think this year is going to be about investing in the coaches. But we do a lot of our networking at that. We also have a costume party.
Oh, sounds fun. I want to be there.
But yeah, I mean, I have stolen so many great things that other LMSCs are doing from things that people have brought up at that conference, because there are people who've been volunteering for 30, 40 years there, and they have seen everything, and they know what works and they know what doesn't work. And so they'll bring up something that for them is old hat, because for 20 years we've been giving money to clubs based on how many people they have. And I'll go, oh my gosh, why are we doing that? That's so smart.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty fun.
Sounds exciting. So I'm going to ask you to share with us your experiences about the Pan Am in Medellín.
Yes. Okay. So that was my first international masters meet. It was my first international meet, period. And I loved it. It was so fun. So that meet doesn't have time standards like World Championships does. And so it was a little bit less pressure. And so it was just so fun. It was just so fun. It was at altitude because Medellín is like up there.
Right.
So that was a bit of a struggle. And there were EMTs at both sides of the pool. So when we kind of like all rolled out, they would all just stand there and go, "You good? You good? You good?" So that was really fun. But it was my first time experiencing a ready room. It was my first time going to a meet where most of the people there were not English speakers. Like, even a lot of them spoke English, but not as their first language. And so, like sitting in the ready room, most of the people around me were speaking Spanish. I don't speak a lick of Spanish. I didn't know what was going on around me. It was really cool. It was super cool. There was a woman, I talk about this all the time. This should be a volunteer position at every meet. There was a woman who was a volunteer of the meet in the locker room, and her volunteer position was to pull up your tech suit. If it looked like you were getting stuck, she would just walk up to you, go, come here, and then pull up your tech suit.
Oh my gosh.
I loved her. She was awesome. Yeah, so that was really great. And it was also the year after Tokyo 2021, which I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before, but I have worked at the Olympics.
Oh,
and
that's
so
cool.
something about after Tokyo made me really be like, I want to do an international meet. I kind of had already heard about Masters World Championships. So I thought dipping my toe in at Pan Am's would be a good fit for just trying it out because it seemed like kind of a fun meet. And so I kind of took some of the stuff that I saw the pros do in Tokyo after working in Tokyo and said, I can do that at my own level. Like I kind of know what they're doing. I can kind of see what their routines are. I can do that. So that was really fun. Also at that meet, I ran into someone who was swimming for the US. And I saw his name in the heat sheet and I was like, that's kind of a common name, I guess, maybe. But it is the name of someone I swam with in middle school, but he was like 4 years older than me. He was one of the cool high schoolers before I switched to my team. So I hadn't seen him since I was 13 and I switched teams. And I guess he saw my name in the heat sheet and went, I don't know, that might be her. I don't know. It was someone I had swum with in middle school and hadn't seen since 2008.
Wow.
So that was really fun to run into an old teammate and compete with him. So yeah, that was cool.
Oh, you got to cut it. So now tell me about your experience in Tokyo. How was that?
Yeah, so Tokyo was the second Olympics that I worked, and it was probably my favorite. It was so fun. I worked for Olympic Broadcasting Services, and I was in the International Broadcast Center, so I was kind of making the archives in real time, and I worked swimming, and it was just really neat. Tokyo was still kind of shut down for COVID. And so when we got there, we had 2 weeks of soft quarantine where we could be in our hotel room. We could be in a mini stop on the corner, or we could be at work. That was it. We couldn't take public transport to work. We had to take the special bus. But when we got out of our 2 weeks off quarantine, we had free reign of the city. They gave us transport cards. And when we had time off, or I was working prelims, so I was working at night. So I had the daytime to just explore. It was really, really neat. And it's not a Tokyo anyone will ever see again because the city was empty. Biggest city in the world, empty. So that was a really, really cool experience.
But like, I feel like I want to be there, or I wish I had known about it. Like, I had to get an opportunity to go. But I'm so glad that you had that opportunity and you're sharing this with me. So
yeah, it was
like,
really cool.
Yeah. And so right now, I know you're preparing for the next World Masters Championship.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So how is that, training going for you?
Pretty good. So I'm just getting back in from my break from Long Course Nationals. So it's kind of on my radar is that I need to do a couple of long course meets in the next year, because when you register for Masters World Championships, they say you have to have done your times in the last 2 years and you have to show which meet you did it at. So you can't just fake your times.
Sure.
So I kind of have that on my radar, is that I need to think about what the cuts might be, when I can swim those. Can I just do short course meets and convert them, which they allow? And so, but I have 2 years, so I'm kind of trying to think about like focusing on this season, but also I'm really excited that it's in Budapest. So looking to the future like that and saving up my vacation time.
Yeah, of course. Like, vacation time is always crucial for when you need to go for swim meets.
Exactly. All my vacation time goes to swim meets. I don't do any, well, and a training trip. I do go on a training trip, but other than that, it's all swim meets.
I feel like that is so exciting to hear for me, because I know we spoke about Budapest, so I'm looking forward to hearing all about your journey and seeing all of that. And I know you're also an USMS ambassador.
Yeah.
So give us a sneak peek into that life of yours.
It's so we're in our 3rd year of the ambassador program. And it has grown so much, and in the first year, so we're in the 3rd year of the USMS Ambassador program, and it has grown so much, and it's, for me, taken on a life of its own, because the first year, and I'm one of the OGs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were kind of.
I did not know. Congratulations! Thank you for sharing that, and I'm sure the listeners will be excited to hear as well.
Yeah, there's just a few of us left who were original ambassadors, and I think we'd all say that it has evolved really well. It just kind of started with, videos of drills, and my videos have always been like the silly ones because I have no shame. But in the last probably year and a half, I've had so many people come up to me at meets and say, your videos made me feel confident about getting back in the water. Your videos made me realize it could be fun again. Your videos made me realize I don't have to have that like super intense mindset I had in college, and I can get back in. And so hearing those, I'd like my personal goal is to make people feel like it's fun. I love the sport of swimming. I was heartbroken when I finished college and I thought I had to be done. And so that's why I went right into masters. I graduated, I took a summer off, I worked the Rio Games, and then I went right into masters.
That's exciting.
Yeah, because I just couldn't be out of the water anymore. And so I understand that some people need to take time out, but I want them to know that the water is there for you. And so hearing that feedback from people who, for me, I'm just goofing off in the water, but it is succeeding in that goal of people know that it's fun. And now I'm starting to get people that I know personally, which is almost more powerful, who are reaching out to me, like people I swam with in high school who then went, on to swim in college, who are reaching out to me and saying, hey, your videos made me want to get back in, which is almost more impactful because I'm impacting people I know personally. They just think I'm doing something cringe, which I am. I'm doing something cringe. It's fine. And so hearing that kind of feedback is really cool. But the first time someone came up to me, I think it was at Nationals in Indianapolis in 2024.
I was there.
Yeah. And so someone came up to me and asked to take a picture with me. And I was like, me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's really cool. And when people recognize you by what you do, I'm sure that must be it must be just a very fulfilling journey in itself.
Crazy. I definitely do not feel like I should have that much of an impact. But I do also refer to myself as the Alona Mar of master swimming, so maybe I should.
Enola Holmes, I love that. You just said Enola Holmes, right?
Ilona Mar.
Elona Mar. Who's
She's the
that?
rugby star who went to Tokyo and Paris, and she's also like a TikToker now, and I love her.
Oh, I learned something new.
Yeah, she's great. So my goal is to be the Ilona Mar of master swimming.
And I'm sure you will. You're going to be the Caitlin Gagnon.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I pronounced your name right.
Gagnon of rugby.
Gagnon. Caitlin Gagnon. I'm not even saying it right. Caitlin Gagnon of rugby. Yeah. So you seem to have covered most of the realm of what US Masters, like, as a swimmer, as an ambassador, as a, like, state chair board and everything. What about being a coach? Have you ever wondered about that?
I used to coach kids.
Oh, okay.
I coached a summer league for a little bit. I coached middle school, which was really funny. I was coaching at a Montessori school, and I don't know that much about the Montessori style of education. But what I gathered from coaching Montessori kids was that they're deeply casual, and I love that.
That's the best compliment that I would have gotten today. So thank you for that.
Good.
I'm a Montessori educator myself. So
I was coaching Montessori middle schoolers, and my favorite thing is that they called every teacher by their first name, which makes sense to me. But they would not call me by my first name. They would call me Coach.
Okay.
I did not have a first name. I was just Coach.
Okay.
It was so funny. Yeah, but they were a really fun group to coach. And they were, a lot of my coaching style is making it fun, because I know so many people who have like coach trauma. And so they were really receptive to that in a way that I had never seen before, even with other kids their age. They were very receptive to, sometimes I have them make weird noises so that I know they're breathing correctly. Sometimes I would have them, do things on the deck to improve their coordination. They were really receptive to all of it, and they were just kind of ready to experiment, and I loved it. So that was really fun. But also, this year was our first year of having grown-up swimming in Cincinnati, and so obviously I started a team because amazing. And swimming is a summer league, but for adults. So summer league is huge in Cincinnati. It's massive. There's like 4 big leagues just in this county, and then the county above us has 2 more.
Okay.
Summer league is huge. So bringing it for adults was also huge. And so I started the College Hill Capybaras, and initially it was supposed to be just for master swimmers who are already practicing somewhere, low commitment, just show up to the meets. And it kind of grew a little bit more. And so we ended up having a lot of people who were not master swimmers and needed a practice time. And so we ended up having practices. We called them hangouts. And that was my first time really working with adults. And it was really fun. It's a lot harder than working with middle schoolers, because adults are more set in their movement patterns. So I had to really rethink how I cue movements. And so I was the team captain. We had my friend Claire was the coach, but we would both stand on deck and do drills, and kind of run the hangout. But we were also in the water, and we were also making TikToks.
Sure.
It was a really fun challenge, and we had a really good time. But it was a very, very new experience for me. So I'll probably do some training over the winter on coaching adults so that we can grow our team next year, and we can get more. I'm happy to take the master swimmers, and we're going to keep the master swimmers that we have, but also to get more new people in the water who are adults.
So that'll be an interesting experience for you, I'm sure, because I am an adult onset swimmer as well. I did not start training of under a coach or anything until 18 months ago.
Oh my gosh.
So this has been I only joined Masters team in February 2024. And when that email came out for the ambassadors, one of my teammates sent it to me. She's like, you should become an ambassador. I'm like, okay.
You're like, I just sat down.
No, but she knows how passionate I'm about swimming. I mean, I'll edit this out, but yeah, I will chat more about you, about the USMS ambassadors after we finish our conversation. Because that's my goal, to be more involved in the world of swimming, if you will.
Yeah. I think masters, people don't realize how big the masters world is. There's like 70,000 masters swimmers in the US. I don't think people know that. And so, yeah,
I did not know that.
You have a huge potential audience. Yeah.
Okay. So coming back to the conversation, like when you are going to be having these coaches and when you're going to be doing it, all of these coaching for adults and trying to get them to not just be a part of masters, but how would you recommend people who are afraid of the water, or who have had trauma from coach trauma, like you mentioned, from childhood? How would you get them or suggest them that they would bring them into the water?
I think with people who are like truly afraid of the water, there are so many great adult learn to swim instructors out there. And people don't even know that it's an option to learn to swim as an adult. And it's totally possible. You can go from complete non-swimmer to safe in the water as an adult. There's a program, I think it's in Buffalo, where the woman is taking non-swimmers to being on her master's team because she's just a really good instructor.
Oh, okay.
And so it's an option. Like if you cannot swim and you're a grown-up and you're like, well, it's too late for me because I'm a grown-up. It's not like language learning where you really have to do it as a kid. You can learn to swim as a grown-up. And I think everybody should. I think it can be scary and there's mental blocks and going under the water and all of that, but it's a life-saving skill. We are one of the only sports that can say our sport is also a life-saving skill. It's so important to have that safety around water. I mean, every summer we hear about like celebrity drownings and all that, and everybody goes, why didn't that celebrity know how to swim?
Right.
They're nervous and they don't know that it's an option to learn as a grown-up. So I just want people to know they can. It's not too late. Like it's never ever too late. And people with, they went through college swimming and they're so burnt out, and maybe their coach was awful, and maybe they had weigh-ins, and maybe, their coach was famously let go for being abusive or something. I don't know. There's also a mental block there. But the water will always be there when you're ready to come back for it. It's okay to take time out to heal that, but the water will be there. The water didn't hurt you. The people did. And it's totally fine to be burnt out on the people, and that's totally understandable, but it's that environment. Just take some time away until you miss it. And it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years. before you miss it,
Mm-hmm.
but the water will be there.
Yeah.
So I'm just here to like make it look fun and
Yeah.
remind people that it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I know not everyone will be ready right away, but that's
All
okay
right.
because the water will be there.
Water will be there. I love that. Like, I hope somebody, whoever is listening to this podcast, like, comes back and tells you, I heard your podcast and like, it made me want to go back in the water. So
I hope so. I want everybody to get back in the water. I think everyone should do it at least once.
that sounds like a perfect segue for us into our next segment. I am going to ask you what, like, you already mentioned that you're in your swimming goals, like your goal is to go to the Masters World Championship in Budapest. But
Yes.
what about the other goals? Like, you mentioned about the Ohio board, right? So,
Mhm.
like, what does it look like for you in terms of being the board member and the USMS ambassador for both of them?
I'm kind of just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Last year I won the June Krauser Communication Award, which
Yay.
for my social media stuff. So that was really cool. So I'm gonna keep doing it for as long as I am having fun with it. Um, I'll keep volunteering for as long as they'll have me. I'll keep swimming for as long as my body will let me.
Yeah.
um, and so I set season goals. They're typically like calendar year goals. So one year I said I was going to swim the 200 fly at every meet. One year I did every single event in a calendar year, and then I bought myself a t-shirt that said I conquered the world of swimming. Or I conquered the sport of swimming.
Sport. Okay.
And I made that t-shirt custom for myself.
Oh, that's like nice.
This past year, my goal was to max out my entries at every meet. So if the maximum entries was 13 events, I was swimming 13 events. I'm not going to do that one again.
I was gonna think,
Yeah.
13 events, literally all the events in the.
That was too much. And then this coming year, my goal is more training based. So I'm just going to do a lot more butterfly in practice. And so I asked my coach to program my practices that way.
That's exciting. I hope the guys get to see you doing a lot more butterfly soon. I'm sure there will be a lot of meets where you well, I'll
Yeah,
hear
I
about
think
it.
it'll end up being another accidental do the 2 fly every meet, but it's not officially my goal.
Okay. Sounds good. And if you were to think about one thing or leave the listeners with one little piece of tidbit for swimming, whether they're a elite swimmer or whether they're a swimmer on onset swimmer, what would you tell them?
I would tell them it's more important to be enjoying yourself than anything else. If you're swimming fast, but you're not enjoying yourself, well, what kind of life is that? But if
Yeah.
you're swimming slow and you're having a jolly old time, that's great. Who cares if you're swimming slow? You're having a great time.
I love that. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for joining us. And I'm
Yeah,
so glad we had
for
the
having
time to
me.
make this conversation.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for tuning into Swim Stories Unplugged. I hope you enjoyed hearing about Caitlin Gagnon's incredible 25-year journey in the water. For those first swims to standing on the world stage, and now looking ahead to what's next. If her story inspired you, make sure to share this episode with a teammate, coach, or a fellow swim fan. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss more conversations with swimmers who are shaping and living the sport in their own unique ways. Until next time, I'm your show host, Hetal Sampat. Keep your heart in the water and your stories alive.